Hi folks, Steve the Hurricane here, and on today's episode of A Drink with the Hurricane, we are going to talk about how do you combat and reduce the no-shows on your caregiver interviews. Cheers. This is A Drink with the Hurricane, the home care sales and marketing talk show that discusses all things growing your home care business. All right. Big topic. You spend all this money recruiting caregivers and doing setting up interviews, and people don't show. It stinks, doesn't it? Now, this is not my area of expertise, so I'm going to hand this episode off to my buddy Annalise, who's spoken at boot camps and other events. She is an expert on this to help you reduce that no-show for your interviews when you're trying to recruit. So here you go, Annalise. Let me take it away.
Thank you, Steve. Today, with A Drink with the Hurricane, I'd like to talk to you about something that is really troubling a lot of you in home care, which is the no-show crisis that you're experiencing when you're trying to recruit caregivers. I just wanted to share with you something that Lynn from Visiting Angel in California wrote to me recently. She was saying the biggest issue we have is getting caregivers to commit to the interview and to show up for orientation. Only 1 in 5 will show up for an interview, and only 3/4 show up to orientation after the job offer is made. And I know from talking to a number of you, this is not just Lynn in California experiencing it. This is across the nation. And to some degree, it's not just home care suffering from this. I think it is a trend that we're seeing across society in general. So what can you do to improve and help combat the no-show crisis when it comes to your recruitment? Well, when I work with clients, we get to talk a lot about different aspects of their recruitment. And it's always interesting to me to pick up from some of the good examples that some of you are having. And it's always interesting to me to pick up on some of the good experiences that some of you have out there because you've developed an interesting and novel approach. So for instance, I have been working for many months now with a home care owner in Connecticut. And when I was asking him recently about the no-show crisis and his recruitment in general, he was telling me that from his perspective, amazingly, recruitment was going great. And I said, well, what's the secret sauce in Connecticut? And basically what he explained to me was that they use the selection process, the back and forth that you have with candidates before you're able to get them in your walls and have an interview. They use that process as a self-selection opportunity. So those who don't return phone calls, those who don't show up, clearly they probably are not the ones you would want to have as caregivers because they're likely not very reliable. The other thing that this agency owner in Connecticut was saying is we put the onus on the caregiver to schedule their interview. We put them in a position to tell us within 24 hours what date they're able to start work. So basically, instead of the agency chasing the candidate, they're telling the candidate, if you're serious about working with us, you need to respond to us. And it seems to have worked for them because they went from being a brand new agency that opened at the beginning of 2016, and today in 2017, they have almost 50 caregivers. So that's pretty remarkable. Another of my client is a franchise of Always-based senior care in the Carolinas. And there, Tracy, the recruiter, was telling me that in the past 2 years that she's been doing this job, she only had 5 no-shows. I was floored. I'm like, Tracy, did I hear this correctly? 5 no-shows in 2 years of interviewing and, growing an agency to about 35, 40 caregivers? And she said, yes. And I'm like, tell me how you do this. And basically, Tracy told me that she just knows when to call. So for instance, once people have scheduled an interview, she makes sure to call them the night before to remind them that, she's still expecting to see them tomorrow at a specific time. She's like, I don't want to talk to them. I just want to leave them a message, either a phone call or a text. And I do that while they're working during the day. So I know I'm not going to have to speak with them. So basically, she calls or leaves a text message during the day, the day before the interview, to remind them of their commitment. Also, she is very serious about calling after an interview to thank them for taking the time to come and visit. And basically, again, not rocket science, not super complicated, but it seems to work for them. Another approach, which is one that, is really prevalent, is trying to use technology to help you along the way. I worked with a fairly large agency in Michigan, where basically we worked on implementing a quick application similar to a marketing funnel, automated marketing funnel, where if you are the ideal client of a business, they will start sending you a number of emails to get you on board and eventually buy a product. Well, there, again, with recruitment, we're not selling a product, we're selling the agency as an employer. And so by creating a quick app online, the system determines whether, and the quick app is similar to a screening interview that could be done over the phone, but there it's all done online by the potential candidate. And if they meet a minimum requirement through that initial screening, they get thrown onto the site where they can fill in an application. If they don't meet those criteria, they're not given a chance to apply. So that is a way to basically optimize the recruitment process, minimize the number of phone call interactions, and again, put the candidate in the driver's seat, deciding whether they want to go forward rather than the agency chasing them. So I hope this has been helpful, sharing some of those success models. And if you have any questions, I'm Annalise Geer, and I'm an HR consultant specializing in the home care industry. Thank you, Steve.
That was awesome, wasn't it? Annalise knows her stuff. And I'll tell you what, every single person who signed up as a VIP for the next Hurricane Boot Camp, you're going to get a one-on-one strategy session with Annalise to go over all of your recruitment and retention challenges. How awesome is that? So folks, I urge you, take action now because the boot camp is filling up and you're going to run out of space. It's going to sell out before you know it. Sign up for the next boot camp, and if you're not a VIP, do the VIP upgrade so that you can get your one-on-one strategy session with Annalise to give you everything you need. Recruitment and retention from her, growing your business and marketing and getting more clients with us, the 1-2 punch to help you blow away the competition.